Hello everyone, this is Perfume Coast, so welcome to my channel. I continue talking about different profiles in the perfumery, and today it's all about the green profile, and specifically mint. So mint forward fragrances are of course those ones that normally are associated with summer season and those mojito cocktails. But that's not always the case. So without further ado, let's jump into the ocean of perfumes. So the first perfume I'd like to talk about is called Mint and Tonic by the British brand Atkinsons. And let's take a quick look at the notes that Fragrantica is listing. So on the top we've got lime, mint and grapefruit. In the middle there's ginger, mandarin orange and geranium. And finally in the base there's vetiver, cedar and musk. Now this fragrance starts off with a zingy combination of mint and citrus. And citrus note compared to mint is certainly a bit on the background. But as far as mint is concerned, that's where the excellency lies, I think. This mint is extremely natural, and I can tell by incredible volume of mint-forward fragrances that I have tested, this is indeed a rare quality, strangely enough. Apparently, mint note is a tricky one to create in the lab conditions. So, as said just now, we have this incredibly natural mint, the one that's just been taken out of the garden. It's extremely juicy and complemented by a lemon note. This juiciness lingers for a while, as if a freshly cut bunch of mint had this dewdrops on its leaves. Simply beautiful. So this minty fragrance never even hints at any sort of toothpaste, as the case may be. But again, with my eyes closed, I could hardly, tell the real mint plant from this scent. Honestly, that's how it feels really. Another feature of this fragrance is that it doesn't enter into any sour-like territory that sometimes happens to many mint-forward scents. As if something keeps the scent from doing exactly that. Most probably due to a crafty balance of mint with other notes, such as geranium or ginger perhaps. By the way, I do not necessarily smell any of these, but ginger is definitely here as a contributor of this freshness, zinginess, and a bit of spicy touch that this perfume has to it. Also because of the cleverly balanced notes, this scent is truly a unisex one, although there is hardly anything traditionally feminine in it, such as sweetness or powderiness, for example. But equally, I wouldn't say that this scent is a masculine release, as again, despite vetiver that often pinpoints at masculine territory in there, there's hardly any distinct masculine vibe. So as the scent sits, it gets even drier, and at the end it's a solar reflection of fresh and juicy mint plant. For a fresh green scent it represents, the longevity is quite decent, about 4 hours, and overall it's a strong recommendation as pretty unique for what it is, and also quite underrated scent, as I do not hear an awful lot of reviews dedicated to this one. Next up is another mint-forward fragrance. It's called Herba Fresca, belonging to the line Aqua Allegoria by the brand Guerlain. And let's take a quick look at the notes that Fragrantica is giving. So on the top we've got lemon and clover, in the middle there's mint and green tea, and finally in the base there's lily of the valley and cyclamen. When I first got to test this perfume, all I could smell is this fresh green grass, the scent that comes from the freshly mowed lawn, At that time, I remember my perfume journey was at its very start, but this one got me fascinated immediately, which certainly suggests that this fragrance is easy to like, but it doesn't mean it's characterless. As far as the scent popularity is concerned, it's an interesting one. On the one hand, there's quite a large group of fans, but on the other hand, this club is pretty limited, as normally unisex options are either citruses for summer or gourmands or ambery fragrances for colder season. Well, this one is your very special summer offer, where to my nose at least, there's hardly any citrus on its own. Yes, I know there's lemon on the top, but to me, is by far a supporting act. But back to the fragrance structure. The fragrance starts off with a grassy mint that's quite loud, also juicy and also bright. And it's lemon that supports this brightness, but again, never draws this fragrance to your truly citrus territory. This one is not sweet to the point of zero sweetness, in fact, and that's how this perfume remains through its lifetime. The fragrance is fresh, which is supported by the lily of the valley note, and what's very distinct along with mint is a clover note, providing this extra herbaceous aura to this beautiful mint. And that's probably why this fragrance did and still does come across as grassy mint. In the best traditions of all the Guerlain releases, the longevity is beyond average, to say the least, about 5 to 6 hours. As suggested before, it's very unisex and great summer option. It was released in 1999, but it is in no way, any vintagey. So again, a big recommendation to put your nose on. Next up is another brand release. It's called Malamata by the not very well known brand, I think, Roos. So as always, let's take a quick look at the notes of Fragrantica. So what we've got here on the top is galbanum, peppermint, violet leaf, mastic or lentisk. In the middle there's lily of the valley, wormwood, sage and rose, and finally in the base there's hay, musk, ambergris and patchouli. So if I could recommend to anyone a truly niche summer green mint containing scent, but the one that's almost instantly likable despite being very unique, it would be certainly this perfume. The first spritz to me provides abundance of fresh and dewy garden flowers in combination with their own stems perhaps. And these flowers have just been rained on. There is no rain vibe as such here, but the combo of floral buds and green stems is so fresh and watery that that's how I get this dewy impression. And that's probably how you smell your flower garden on an early summer morning. And the florals I have in mind are the likes of hydrangeas, lilies, white peonies and even chamomiles perhaps. Yes, probably chamomiles and other field flowers such as clover, for instance, would be another even stronger association. And clover flower, of course, is often a source of what we call hay. Well, next association to me are freshly cut twigs of a tree with this fresh greenish accord that's normally coming out of it as far as the scent is concerned. And yet another association to me would be this linden blossom tree, or rather its leafy part, the one that's not sweet but instead utterly fresh, slightly bitter and green, of course. As you can see from the multitude of associations of mine, this fragrance is multifaceted, and also I haven't once mentioned mint note. And that's indeed the case. I can hardly detect any mint on its own, but I know for sure that mint is in here, playing this amplifier role in terms of bitterish freshness delivered here by the top note of peppermint. Key note that delivers the kind of grittiness that never, gets sour or sweaty is probably galbanum, but it's the one that gives off this green floral effect. I'd say that as compared to the previously reviewed two perfumes, this one, to my nose, has this bit of sweet touch, but it's rather an echo of sweetness, balancing green profile rather than any individual sweetness. And as the scent progresses, it gets a bit dusty, but clean dusty that also never loses its freshness, and it's probably a violet that delivers this quality in its best trends of powderiness provider, perhaps. I can't really detect any rose or patchouli in here, but again, perhaps they serve a supporting function in this incredibly unique and complex but likable fragrance. The longevity is amazing. This one lasts me all day, so a big recommendation as the unisex option that, by the way, can be worn not only in summer, but because of all the features mentioned previously, such as powderiness and hay-like accords, it could equally be great for autumn, for example. So next up, yet another mint-forward release. It's released by also British brand Molton Brown, and it's called Wild Mint and Labandin. And as always, let's take a quick look at the notes that Fragrantica's listing. So here what we've got on the top is mint, in the middle there's nutmeg and orris root, and finally in the base there's woodsy notes and tonka. While here the note of mint serves to support lavender impression that the brand has intended to achieve. Although, according to Fragrantica, lavender is exactly what's missing here. Nonetheless, lavender is exactly what this fragrance opens up with and has abundance of across its lifetime. This lavender is extremely fizzy and sparkly, a bit green as well. I can clearly detect a minty accord that's interwoven sort of into a lavender that sings main part here, so to speak. And because of mint, this lavender is so zingy, fresh and realistic, as if you rubbed the flowers with a bit of green stems in your hands. And I think what the brand did contributing to the uniqueness is substituting bergamot by mint, where bergamot normally gives lavender this sparkliness, and so does mint in here. But because of this substitution, this lavender is bright and zingy without being citrusy, which again is a bit of uniqueness. Tonka bean and nutmeg are not really detectable by their own to my nose, but they once again balance otherwise quite dry and green composition. As a result, we're getting our traditional zingy lavender, but without citrus, where dryness is well balanced by nutmeg and tonka bean. By the way, because citrus is replaced by mint in here, this fragrance leans slightly masculine. But I personally wear it myself quite often, especially if I want my lavender to be done in a particular drier way. The longevity is moderate, about 4 hours, but it's a great fragrance to recommend as another unique warmer season option. This masculine direction to my nose delivers a bit of ambery touch as well. However, if you're someone quite content with it, it's a true recommendation as unisex fragrance. And last but not least, finally, the favorite of all times in fragrance community, it's of course Torino 21 by Xerjoff. But let's get reminded about the notes that Fragrantica is listing. So what we've got here on the top is mint, lemon, basil and thyme. In the middle we've got blackcurrant, lavender, rosemary and jasmine. And finally in the base there's musk and vervain. So to my nose, along with mint and tonic reviewed earlier, this one is the strongest association with mojito cocktail. This cocktail is obviously mint-based, perhaps with zero alcohol, a bit sweet and very citrusy. So to my nose, citrus and mint are in almost equal parts in the opening, perhaps with a bit of minty prevalence. However, as the scent sits, it gets ever more mint forward, but citrus, although being toned down, continues to support this beautiful mint composition. Also, Torino 21 is of course part of Xerjoff yearly series dedicated to Torino tennis championships. And I don't know how, but I can really detect a bit of tennis ball smell here, as funny as it may sound. You know how a tennis ball is a bit rubbery clean and covered with this yellow fluffy wool-like fabric. And it seems I can detect a bit of this clean rubbery effect in combination with green grass scent of tennis court. And if that's what Xerjoff was trying to achieve, that's exactly what this fragrance to my nose is. And in this case, it's a very clever concept which the brand managed to pull off perfectly. This is especially ingenious given that this fragrance, as far as I know, came first in fact in the line, being this premiere that beautifully introduced further releases and also continues to do so up to date. Overall, excellent, and yet again, another unique composition dedicated to mint with a very special twist of tennis court and mojito cocktail. So, needless to say that this one is extremely long-lasting with Xerjoff never fails to deliver. On my skin, this scent lasts me all day. And by the way, yes, of course, this fragrance is a classic unisex, leaning towards summer wear perhaps. So overall, big recommendation to test if you haven't done so by now. But that's it, guys. This has been the last fragrance for today's video. If you've liked this video, please give it a like. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Please provide your comments, if any. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.